Hey, it's Alex from Board Game Co., and today I'm coming at you with another top 10 list. This one about children's games. Now, more specifically, there's actually two caveats to this list, two specific subsection of children's games that I'm doing. The first restriction is that they are in games that I enjoy playing with my kids. They're not just games that my kids enjoy, that might be a whole separate list, but rather they're games that I play with them and I thoroughly enjoy them. Don't get me wrong, any game is fun with my kids, but there are games that I enjoy more than others. Sometimes it's about spending time with them, and sometimes it's about spending time with them while enjoying a good game. So that's the first restriction. Second restriction is this list is specifically ages 5 and up. Now take that with a grain of salt. Your 5 may be different than someone else's 5. Even within your own family, one 5-year-old may be handling something a different 5-year-old is. But for me, this is a group of games that my youngest kid, who was 5, and I have a kid, but I have a baby, but either way, but my youngest kid who was 5 is able to keep up, able to enjoy. There are some small caveats in terms of how much the younger kids can enjoy it, but we'll get into that. I will be doing another video, maybe in a few weeks or whenever, for ages 7 to 8 and up. But anyway, starting with that, long disclaimer aside, starting with the first one, number 10 on the list is My Little Scythe. My Little Scythe, My Little Scythe, I know there's a whole bunch of questions of how to pronounce that. In any case, My Little Scythe is the kids version of Scythe, a super popular game that did not stay in my own collection, unfortunately. I liked it, but not so much. I mean, I liked it, but not enough compared to other games. My Little Scythe, on the other hand, I find it captures the feel of that game, but compelled and compounded down to a smaller, more accessible children's game. You walk into the game, there's a bunch of victory points of victory objectives you have to achieve, pick 4 of those 8 to achieve, execute on getting those, and hopefully win the game. It is very cute. The gameplay is it's very easy to explain. It's very cute. They got little miniatures. I don't know if you can see them back here. They got little miniatures that you can see over here that are absolutely adorable. The whole thing is wrapped up in a very nice package, both accessibility, both production quality, ease of explaining. It is complicated enough that a bunch of adults can play this, and it's going to be on the light side, but it'll still be entertaining. But for kids, for sure, it did a very, very solid job. From there, we have number 9 is Crazy Race. Now, Crazy Race might be a hard one to get your hands on. I haven't really seen this anywhere. Even the copy I have is a German copy with an English printout of the rules. This is not a game I've seen all over the place, and it's not a game that's ranked very well on Board Game Geek, actually. But despite that, myself and my kids really enjoy this. It's basically a stats-based game. If you want to introduce your 5-year-old to some statistics, go ahead and take this one. What you have to do is you have to roll dice, and the more dice you roll, the more you can potentially get further in this game, but also the more you're likely to bust. It's a little bit of a push your luck based on statistics of each dice is a different way of rolling, and then each time you cross a checkpoint, you get to pick a different animal. Each animal has a different ability, which just makes the whole thing fascinatingly fun. And you're blending different things. You're blending the goal of getting over the finish line, but also animals come with certain points attached to them. So you might take that slower elephant that will have a hard time actually getting anywhere, but you get like a handicap bunch of points. Lots of interesting decisions for what is really a very, very simple kids game. I don't know why it's ranked so low. I found it to be fairly quick, fairly easy to understand, interesting decisions both for adults and just pure fun shenanigans for kids. Highly recommend this one, if you can find it. From there, we have number 8. Number 8 is Potion Explosion. Now, Potion Explosion is one of those games that come with a caveat. Potion Explosion is a game you can play with a bunch of adults, and it'll be an entirely different experience than if you play it with a bunch of kids. What I mean by that is, it's just fun to, like, what you're doing is you're playing these marbles in the board, you're picking out marbles, and then when you create different ingredient combinations, they explode and you get more marbles back. It's fun. Think Zuma, that old PC game where you're creating these little combinations and stacking them up. It's a lot of fun for kids to do that. It's a lot of fun to pick out the blue marble, which causes 2 yellow marbles to combine, which causes 4 red marbles to combine, and they have a whole handful of marbles. That is fun, it's addicting, it's fun for kids, it's fun for adults. The caveat part is the potions that you earn throughout the game will give you abilities. And I find that younger kids don't really pick up on that so much. They're not really thinking as much of all the abilities and the way they can combine. So they're really just picking marbles and having fun with it. But you're kind of missing half of the strategy aspect of the game with younger kids. You need to either have older kids, or of course adults as well, will pick up on that extra level and layer of strategy in terms of maximizing your potions so you can actually get a return. That being said, like I said, my 5-year-old loves picking those marbles, has done a fairly good job. We don't play it very cutthroat. We play it very, very easy, peaceful. No one's trying to super maximize one another. We're just having fun, but I do enjoy it. Lots of fun to play. From there we have number 7, 10, 9, 8, 7. 7 is Menara. Menara is a building game. It's like, think Junkard, think Jenga. Obviously not as simple as Jenga, but it is a game where you are building your temple. You can see over here, you're building a temple throughout the game. Unlike many of these tower games where everything falls down, it is a cooperative game. The goal is, and when you think about a lot of these games really are cooperative. Yes, someone triggers an end game, but really it's about trying to make it last. Like, I would say Junkard is more competitive, but lots of those other ones are cooperative. They don't say it, but they are. But Menara is definitely cooperative. You're building a temple, you're trying to pull cards out and stack the temple up, and it gets higher and higher. It's not one that we have won yet, but with these games, my kids love it as soon as the tower falls. You try to go higher, you try to go higher, you try to go higher, boom, the whole table collapses, pieces go everywhere, and two kids are going, oh, while another kid cackles hilariously and tries to say, let's do it again, let's do it again. It's a lot of fun. I do have another one that I'll add to this, which is Villa Palleti. I'm going to have it occupy the same slot on this list. I just know Menara is a little less available, not as hard as Crazy Race to get, but it's less available. So Villa Palleti is a kind of a dumbed down version of the same thing. Villa Palleti is technically competitive, but in practice they end up being a cooperative experience where you're trying to make sure things don't fall, and eventually they will. I don't think we've won Villa Palleti either. Maybe you shouldn't play balancing games with 5-year-olds. That might be the takeaway here. Number 6, we have Meeple Circus. Speaking of balancing games, Meeple Circus is adorable. These games get better and better as I go through them, which I guess is the point of a countdown. But Meeple Circus is an adorable game. It is another balancing game. Let's see if we can do another little shot here there, but you can see over here you're trying to, I don't know if you can see that much there, but you are going through 3 rounds of gameplay where you slowly but surely stack up characters to achieve a better circus. If you ever played Catan and fiddled with the pieces on the side, building your own little fascinating structures while you wait for someone else to take their turn, this is that in the game. They have meeples, they have cubes, they have blocks, they have sticks, they have elephants, they have horses, they have all these little wooden pieces that you're meant to stack. This isn't you fiddling while you wait for someone else's turn. This is your turn. Your turn is to try to build those structures, and each turn, each round, you get more components to create a better and cooler circus. And it's hilarious. You sit there and you get 2 horses and you put a little balancing beam across them, and you throw on 2 acrobats, and then you measure how high the stack is, and you throw in a little bouncy ball. There's so many things going on in this, and it is absolutely hilarious. Then you get to the 3rd round. The 3rd round has handicaps. You have to build your circus with one hand tied behind your back. You have to build your circus, but every time something falls down, you have to go, oh no! There's all these handicaps and things built into the game that make it a thoroughly entertaining experience. Again, the caveat I'll give here is I find for my younger kids, that last round is a little harder to wrap their head around the extra rules that get thrown in there, but until then, they do a great job keeping up. It's pretty easy and intuitive to sit there and say, okay, well, try to copy this structure and try to make that with your guys. It is a lot of fun. It can be a little harder. This is another one where we don't really play for points with the younger kids. I mean, we track them, but it's more about the fun. But this is an absolutely adorable game. I'm really looking forward to the expansion, which I have not gotten yet, but I do need to get. From there, we have number 5. Number 5 is Leo the Lion. Leo the Lion is an interesting one to me. This is actually a German copy as well, but you can find this pretty easily in English. Leo the Lion is an interesting one to me because everything about the game tells me I shouldn't like it as much as I do. I shouldn't find this that entertaining. Kind of, if I pulled this off the shelf, I would think it's a complete mass market game that has no real appeal, and yet I really thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, I could say it a few more times, but I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a memory game. That's all it is. It's a memory game. And yet somehow, it's a cooperative memory game that has a teamwork element that makes this the most interesting and most compelling memory game I have ever played. The basic idea is you have to go through, Leo, this lion over here, is trying to get his hair cut, and he has to go through the forest and get to the barber, but he keeps getting stopped by animals and he's talking along the way. And all you're really doing is, as you go through the forest, you have to sit there and you land in a territory and you're like, oh well, that guy is the monkey, and he's a red monkey, and he's this. And you try to figure out the fact that you have to, with your teammates, you have to try to figure out what to memorize the second round. Because inevitably, that first round, you're going to get out. You're going to lose. But you have 5 rounds to win. You have 5 rounds to win the game. So round 2, you get a little further because you remember to avoid that spot. You remember to avoid that spot. And round 3, you get further than that. And this is a game that we usually win, but we usually win it as a team. This is a memory game with a team aspect, cooperative aspect, which I find just a ton of fun every single time I play it. It's simple, it's stupid. If you do play it and find it to be simple and stupid, then don't blame me, I warned you. But despite all that, this is number 4 on my list. I enjoy this more than Meeple Circus. This is just, it's a lot of fun, and it really feels like teamwork. You sit there with your kids, and you're like, okay, you remember that color? You remember that color? We'll get this done, we'll take care of it, we'll win, we do it. And inevitably, you do. From there we have number 3. Number 3 is Indigo. Indigo is the big brother of Tsuro. Now, not actual big brother, just I happen to not like Tsuro as much, but I like Indigo a lot more. It's basically the same idea. You place a tile, and as a result of placing a tile, you move little things a lot around the board. That's basically it in a nutshell. There is a very fun aspect of teamwork in this game, where as you slowly acquire these gems that will help you, you share them with other players. So it's not a cooperative game, to be clear. It's not a team-based game either. It's a game where you're out for yourself, you're trying to win, but if you cooperate with the right people at the right time, you'll be able to get more points just by enforcing that cooperative, so to speak. If you set up a move so that another player next to you is incentivized to help complete that move and drag that gem in, it's actually a decent amount of strategy going on in this game, and yet it's just so fun and accessible for kids. You place a tile, you move the gems. Everyone wants to do that. I want to do that. Put a tile, move the gem. Put a tile, move the gem. You create these incredible roller coasters where you grab a gem and it loops around the whole board and cycles in someone else's spot. It is insanely appealing for the kids to just create that little map and move the gems around, and yet there's enough strategy that as a gamer I'm invested. I'm having fun. I'm not trying to destroy my kids, don't worry, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play this game. I've played Tsuro, was not so impressed, but Indigo to me is the game that killed any concept of Tsuro for me. From there we have number 3, hope I've been counting right. From number 3 we have Zombie Kidz. Zombie Kidz is the newest one on the list to me, and it's a legacy game to boot. It's a legacy game for kids, yes, you heard that right. It is an incredibly fun little game. It's legacy, like I said. You start off, you're a bunch of kids stuck in a school, protecting the school from zombies. You go through round 1, you go through round 2, you go through round 3. After you have a certain number of wins under your belt, you unlock an envelope. Suddenly there's new things. Do your characters have blank? Do your characters have blank? Are the zombies blank? Sorry, this is the, all the spoilers being taken out of the video. But ultimately, Zombie Kidz, it adds rules, but it adds it so simply. It adds it's such an easy and accessible legacy game. I've played a decent amount of legacy games, and this ranks pretty up there. Is it simple? Yes. Is it really not a lot of going on there? Yes. Is there strategy? Yes, there is strategy there too. It's fun. I don't know why I like this one so much compared to other, simpler games. There's really not a ton going on in this game. I think I enjoy the legacy aspect and sharing that experience and that journey with my kids. I really enjoy this one. It's also super cheap, worth picking up, and it's not a legacy game where you have like 8 games. It's a legacy game that has a good 15 to 30 games, if not more, depending how much you win, by the way. Number 2 on the list is Carcassonne. Don't let this box just fool you. This is crap. This is crammed full of expansions. I got a ton of expansions all into this small box. I used to have the big box, managed to get it down to this newer version with all the stuff in here. It fits, but barely. Box is popping off over here. Anyways, Carcassonne is a game that I have been playing for a long time. The only game I've been playing longer than Carcassonne is Catan. This is a game I probably played for the first time back in 2008, before I got into gaming the way I am now, and it was fun. It was easy, it was accessible. Fast forward years later, I got into gaming the way I am now, and I got this again. It was a really, really enjoyable experience. It was fun to play with my wife. It's a great couples game too, by the way. I'll put it in the couples video later. But for now, it really is a lot of fun to play this with your kids, for the same reason as Indigo, for the same aspect of, yes, there's strategy to playing Carcassonne. As you add more expansions as well, there's even more strategy, but ultimately the kids just like putting down a tile. My 5-year-old enjoys sitting there, hey, tile, boom, place on the board. Oh, I completed a castle, I got 14 points. He doesn't care. It's not about the points. It's about creating this cool landscape, and it's fun to put down tiles. It's fun to do that little exercise of building. You make this gorgeous landscape of Carcassonne. And the rules are just, there's nothing there. The rules are place a tile, put a guy out, place a tile, put a guy out. Yes, there's nuance, yes, there's strategy that keeps me and my wife invested, but there's also just a simplicity that they don't really need to know a lot. You can explain new tiles as they come out. Oh, you see this new tile we just dragged out? If you place a guy in here, you can actually roll a die and he can toss him into the castle and you can get in there. It's like, ooh, yeah, I want to do that. This is fun. It's so appealing. Carcassonne is a classic, and it's a classic for a reason. But it's not a classic classic like Catan to me. Catan, which recently left my collection. My last video, I'll link up to it here. But one of my recent, purges, I got rid of Catan because it wasn't seeing the table. It has too much strategy, but not enough to really. It didn't cross that. Carcassonne is accessible. It's light. It's easy. It's accessible. It is an incredible game. It's the number 2 on my best games that I enjoy playing with my kids. Number 1 on the list. Number 1, if you have read some of my blogs, you've seen this before. This is a game that I have recommended again and again and again, and this is Barenpark. Barenpark is so much fun. I would say from this whole list, I would say there are 2 games on this list that I would play without my kids. The rest are reserved as family games with my kids. There are 2 games on this list that I would play without kids, and that's Carcassonne and Barenpark. Barenpark is, I would play this with my adult gamer friends, and I couldn't care less. This is a ton of fun. This is a Tetris game, another polyomino game in the genre of Patchwork, Spring Meadow, all those games. But this, to me, is the perfect blend. And I say this, by the way, I've played Isle of Cats. I enjoy Isle of Cats a lot. I think Isle of Cats is a little more gamery. There's a little more going on in that game. There's some drafting, some interesting stuff. Barenpark has just enough going on that there's real strategy in there. Where do I want to put my tile? If you have the expansion, there's monorails, there's all these goals you're going for. There's a decent amount of strategy to the game and definitely a lot of fun polyomino fitting in, but it is so simple and so accessible. Also, compared to a lot of polyomino games, you can often finish in this one. You can often finish your whole board. And when you do, there's a real feeling of achievement of look, I managed to do it. I cleared the board. You can't do that in a lot of polyomino games. In a lot of these games, it's not about clearing the board. It's about getting the most points. This one, it's also about getting the most points, but you can clear the board, and it's a lot of fun when you do. It is also the artwork. The artwork is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's by Clemens Franz. Yeah, popular artist in the board game world, and this is no exception. It has possibly the best artwork from any of the polyomino games I've played, and it is possibly the best combination of accessibility and strategy from any of the polyomino games I have played. I absolutely love Barenpark. I recommend picking it up as soon as possible. Play it with your wife, play it with your kids, play it with your gamer friends. This is an incredible game, and going back to the kids love it. The kids like fitting tiles together. Ooh, look, I added this beer to my park. Ooh, look, I added that beer to my park. Oh, look, I added the French fry stand. My kids love the French fry stands. I don't know why. They like the French fry stands, they like the beer bathrooms, they like all the things that don't give them points, but it's still a lot of fun. They enjoy it, I enjoy it. You're also not really, even though you're competing against each other, you're not doing so in a way that denies the other player. So I'm building a better map. I'm optimizing against myself while I enjoy a game with my kids. I love Barenpark. It is one of my favorite games. This should have been in my top 20 games of all time last year. It did not make it. That's a mistake. It was an oversight on my part. It was not because of its own fault. I just forgot to include it. It will almost certainly be in my top 20 next year, but we'll see what actually happens there. That's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you walked away with a new game that you can take home to play with your kids. Or alternatively, if you like these games, let me know. If you've played them, if you've enjoyed them, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know which ones you choose to pick up based on this video. I'd love the idea of actually knowing someone picked a game and bought it and enjoyed something with their kids. I have recommended Barenpark to a lot of people, and they do enjoy it. You should be next. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe down below. Click the bell, ring for notifications. You can like, you can comment, you can engage. If you like this content, you can support us. Head on over to boardgameco.com. Go ahead and buy a game. I'll link to all these down below. Hopefully we have some in the stock. I know these are all popular. The problem with these top 10 lists is these are always popular games, so the ones I link are always out of stock. But either way, buy it somewhere else. I'm about having fun in the hobby. It does not mean you have to get it from us. Ultimately, get the games, have fun. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you next time.